Cured salmon. That's right, this amazing technique is so fast, it actually takes longer to explain it than it does to do it. And think about it, why pay $25 a pound for gravlax at that fancy grocery store when you can buy fresh salmon for $25 a pound and make your own? Hey, wait a minute. So alright, I'll admit, we really don't do this to save money. The real reason is so our foodie friends think we're a badass. So we're going to get started, and the first thing we need is the brine. So into a bowl, I'm going to pour some fresh cold water. Yes, we're using fresh water this time. And then to that, we're going to add a whole bunch of kosher salts and a fairly decent amount of white sugar. And we're going to go ahead and give that a stir until it's completely dissolved. And sure, this would be quicker if we used hot water, but then our water wouldn't have been cold and fresh. But anyway, no worries, because after a couple minutes of stirring, that cloudiness will disappear and it will look like water again. And in the business, we refer to this as a moment of clarity. And once your brine looks like that, simply set it aside while we move on to prep the salmon. And there we go, I have one beautiful piece of salmon, and it should still have the skin on it. And I'm going to recommend you ask the fishmonger for a center cut, right? That's right in the middle of the fillet. Make sure you have them pull those pin bones out, or you do that yourself. And because we want some nice uniform, thick slices, this piece of salmon is going to work the best. And then to prep this, here's what we're going to do. There's a little bit of connective tissue right in the center. See that little streak down the middle? What we'll do is we'll cut on either side of that right down to the skin, but don't go through. And then simply turn the blade parallel to the cutting board and slice it that way. And then we'll go ahead and do the same thing on the other side, keeping the knife between the flesh and the skin. And then once you've done that on both sides, go ahead and slide that knife blade right through like that, and that piece of meat should come right off the skin. Alright? And I'm not going to show it, but I'm going to do the same thing to the other piece. And then once I have those sections removed from the skin, we can trim it up a little further if we want. You can see that little bit of gray flesh there where it meets the skin. So basically anything that's not that beautiful orange flesh, you can feel free to trim away. And then once any fine-tuning trimming's done, we're just going to turn that piece this way and carefully cut about 1/4 inch thick slices. And obviously you can cut them thinner if you want or thicker if you want, but if you want to use my brining times, it's going to be kind of important you get it similar. So I'm going to continue to slice that across, and once our salmon has been sliced, it's time to brine. And I like to do 5 or 6 pieces at a time. I mean, I could probably get more in here, but I know doing it in batches works great, so better safe than sorry. Alright, you want to be sure about the cure. So I'm going to go ahead and place those slices in the brine, and then believe it or not, it's only going to sit in there for 3 minutes. It's not called quick cure for nothing. So set your timer for 3 minutes, and you could probably just let it sit there, but you know me. I can't stand in front of food for 3 minutes without touching it. So I do move mine around a little bit. Like I said, probably for no good reason. And then exactly 3 minutes later, we're going to fish those out onto a rack. Although you could probably just put these right onto paper towels. I just thought the rack would look cooler. But anyway, we're going to fish those out. And once those have been removed from the brine, very important, we need to pat those dry a little bit. So take a paper towel and kind of blot those off. All right, it's okay if they're moist, you just don't want them wet. And then once all our salmon slices have been cured and patted dry, we're going to go ahead and put those on a platter. We'll go ahead and wrap that nice and tight with plastic. And then to finish the process, we want to refrigerate those until ice cold before serving. I would say a minimum of 2 to 3 hours, although overnight I think is much better. As these sit in the fridge, those slices of salmon kind of continue to cure, and you'll even get a little more of a firmer texture. But anyway, we're going to chill that thoroughly, and then it's ready to unwrap and use. And look how beautiful that is. All right, that color's deepened, that texture's firmed up. Very similar to a commercial smoked salmon, or a gravlax or other type of cured salmon. And because of that salt and sugar in the brine, it's perfectly seasoned. So let's go ahead and unwrap that and start figuring out ways to eat this. One of my favorite and simplest ways is just to put a little bit of ginger, just like a half of a freakishly small wooden spoon, just stir it into a little soy sauce, and then just give that slice of cured salmon a little dip. And that is absolutely fantastic like that. So that's kind of the minimalist approach. Alright, if you wanted to go full food blogger, you could serve it as a crudo with a little micro herb salad, maybe a little green goddess underneath, maybe a little grated horseradish over the top. That's another amazing way to enjoy this, and you can really get a good feel for the textures. I cut it with a fork. I mean, it has that firmness like a cured piece of salmon would, but it also retains this incredible suppleness, just a luxurious texture. So nice. Or of course you could just channel your inner New Yorker and do a take on a bagel and lox. That's just a pumpernickel everything flatbread with some cream cheese, a slice of the cured salmon, and some chive. And that bite right there is just as awesome as you would imagine. But hey, what are you doing imagining when you can actually experience? Okay? So I really do hope you give this a try. Head over to foodwishes.com for all the ingredient amounts and more info as usual. And as always, enjoy.